What's up, guys and gals? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind-the-bar reviews for One Piece. One Piece chapter 962. Rather short chapter, but a lot of information really dumped on us here. I think Oda wants to, he only probably has a few chapters left of the Oden Kazuki backstory, so he's just pumping information, like some pages. We're getting entire backstories of here's what this character was, here's what they were doing, like one of the Red Scabbards, like here's Riser, here's Kanjiro, here's Kiku, here's everybody, and it's like, boom, here was their story, like in half a page. We already know their entire backstory, boom, 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 a lot of dialogue, right? And here's how they ended up joining Oden. So we are already passing, like, through like 4 or 6 years or something like that, since, the time he was disowned to the time that he became the daimyo of the Curry region, the lawless region, a place that was basically its own other entity. Nobody went there, sort of idea, right? Even though it was part of Wano, nobody from Wano really associated within that region. Suffice it to say, the beginning of this chapter, automatically, there were a lot of people that wanted to try to convince me and try to convince a lot of people that potentially Orochi might have some sympathy. Because remember, if nothing else, a lot of people right now seem to be like calling One Piece like not that great and stuff like that. They're tired of the formula or something like that. But at the end of the day, during One Piece, one of the things that can't be denied is that Oda knows how to make you sympathize with everybody. Oda makes backstories that are tragic, that are sad. You can't be a Straw Hat without a tragic backstory kind of stuff, right? Something bad had to happen to you, to your family, to your friends, to your village. Something had to happen for you to be a Straw Hat. That's just the way it works, right? And a lot of the other characters are no exception. For example, he even took people like Arlong, unforgivable Arlong. But you got a little bit, just this tiny smidgen of, I don't know, like this whole idea that potentially with the whole fishmen and how they were treated and what happened to, Fisher Tiger and stuff like that, it doesn't excuse his actions, but at least you can understand where his initial hatred of humans has stemmed from and where it's come from, and how his level of distrust and stuff actually went out into full-blown hatred, and he can't forgive what the humans did, right? So even someone like Arlong, arcs and arcs and arcs later, Oda does that. I couldn't see this happening for Orochi. I couldn't see it. I said it on one of Grim Reaper's streams last week and stuff, before this chapter was dropped, and we discussed it. I've been discussing it in my Discord. Link will be in the description down below. You're free to join, guys. It's just Orochi, at his level, nothing he does. It's similar to Arlong. It's very similar, except I would say that even Arlong is more forgivable. Not really. He's not a forgivable character. But there's a difference between having a level of sympathy for these characters and empathizing with them. Sympathy and empathy are two different things. Like, you can't justify their reasoning and stuff. No matter what, I will not be able to sympathize or empathize with Orochi's situation, no matter what. I knew that. I said that. I said just because you can kind of tell. A lot of people thought, okay, maybe we will get a tragic backstory of why Orochi turned out the way he did. But nothing excuses what he's been doing now, and there is a fine line between, okay, you can't justify actions and stuff, but I just knew. I knew from the get-go that this guy wasn't going to be, there wasn't going to be somebody that mistreated him. There wasn't going to be this whole, we can at least understand why he turned out the way he turned out. I always knew I didn't think that he was this little urchin character. As I told you guys before, I always assumed Orochi was this character who was probably one of the lower class, but still, not a daimyo, but still one of the like lords or one of the noblemen or something like that, but really low class, made fun of. If you guys have seen the series Spartacus, Blood and Sand, or Spartacus Vengeance, or, the different seasons have different titles, Gods of the Arena, War of the Gods, that kind of stuff, right? That Spartacus series, that had a character named Bardiardus, who pretty much, same idea. Lower class, had delusions of grandeur, and was constantly, the the higher nobles, the real nobles, looked down on him. Even though he was a nobleman, there was still this caste system, right? And Wano works in the same way. Japanese culture has always worked in a very similar way with a caste system. So I'm sitting there like, that's what I assumed. I assumed that he was a noble who thought of himself as this great noble and was constantly belittled and made fun of and stuff by other noblemen. And of course then the lower class didn't even respect him, and so he got this, that's what I assumed. But no, it's even worse. He's this little urchin character who still, like, no. He's just a horrible human being. Like, to put this into context, guys, I'm sure because I've been ranting about this now for 5 minutes, pretty much Orochi claims that Oden might not have been the one to tarnish the damn room. He was staying with Yasui, we knew this, and he basically decided, I'm going to go to Curry. I'm going to go, I heard this guy, Boy Ashura, I want to go fight him. So Oden leaves, and Kinemon and Denjiro, they follow him, and we're like, okay, so they're his followers and stuff, and they are starting their new journey. When he leaves, the whole place is a mess, and I mean, you could see Oden doing that. Yeah, okay, so he wrecked the room, with for whatever reason. That's Oden wherever he goes. But then apparently he stole the money from the coffers, and according to Orochi, he silently slipped it into his pocket before he left, and Orochi was too scared to say anything. We know Oden didn't do that, we the viewers, and Yasui knows that Oden didn't do that, because he said to himself, he said, Oden would have, like, literally made it into a festival. Like, yeah, Yasui, I'm taking all this money. I don't think you guys need it. Bye! He would have made a spectacle out of taking the money. He wouldn't have actually done it underhanded like that. He's open and brash about these type of things. He never hides anything he does. So that's something that, Yasui knows right away. And Orochi being, oh, yes, I saw it, and I was too scared to say anything. This guy has always been, even after being taken in by Lord Yasui, even after that, this guy is still a little cretin of a character. He's this little unforgivable little shit, and he's always been that way. And we've seen the way that Wano has turned into now. So, as I said before, I know this has been a long thing, and it's only a couple pages of this chapter, but I think a lot of reviewers are going to focus on this, so I wanted to give it its due. Orochi is this slimeball character. He always was a slimeball for no good reason, and anytime he had a handout, like, Yasui didn't need to bring him into his household, but he did, he's still a lying little manipulative shit, even after that. I understand that Wano was definitely not perfect for the lower class, even 20 years ago. Nonetheless, looking at it now, all the people that are starving and eating poisoned fish, like, there is no reason. There is no reason for this. The only way I could have assumed that maybe Orochi had some redeeming qualities is if he was the lesser of two evils. If for some way, and I could believe Oda could pull it off, if in some way Oda brought up this whole, well, potentially Orochi being in power right now, we think Wano's this terrible place, but if the Kazukis had stayed in power, it was going to be way worse, undeniable, and he was the lesser of two evils sort of idea, right? If that was the case, I don't know how that would be possible, because Wano is literally in a detrimental state where basically everybody is either impoverished, in fear, anything else you can think of. So that was my only way of thinking this. And now with just this one page, I already know that not even that's possible. Orochi was just always this, I want. I'm entitled. I will lie, cheat, steal, kill, do all that stuff, pillage. I will do everything I can to be in charge and screw everybody else. He's always been a terrible human being, and he's not redeemable. He doesn't have my sympathy or empathy or anything like that. So, now that I've wasted most of the review talking about this, let's move on to the rest of the chapter. Now, basically, Oden, as I said, he goes to the Curry region, and along the way, he collects a bunch of his scabbards. He collects a bunch of his samurai. He goes to the Curry region. He defeats everyone himself. You see that even Oden got injured a bit, but he defeated Boy Ashura, and he joins him. We see, Raizo. Raizo was apparently part of the Oniwaban group and all that stuff. We see Kiku and Aizo. Aizo from Whitebeard's crew. Aizo, one of the Whitebeard commanders. And we knew that he had a connection to Wano for sure. And I watched Tekken 101's review on this, and he has a very good theory about how potentially after, things settled down, after this 20 years had passed and Kinemon and everybody came back, potentially Whitebeard knew about this, Aizo told them, and, Aizo trusted in Lady Tokia, and the Whitebeard crew as a whole was going to go and help Wano after the 20 years. For more details on that, I don't want to take credit, so, not that Tekken needs any of the more views, but go ahead and check out Tekken 101's review about this, because he definitely painted a really nice picture of how that could have went down between Whitebeard and Aizo and all that stuff. I think it was in his review, it might have been in another video. Either way, it was recent. So, that's really, really cool that now we have the connection. Aizo is Kiku's older brother, and I'm like, okay. Awesome. This brings us a perfect connection. And we also see, Kanjuro, we basically end up meeting everyone, all of the scabbards that are going to eventually be the 9 red scabbards, and of course Aizo. And I'm like, okay, this is really cool. So we see Odin along the way, writing down in his journal how he gets here, how he gets there, how he tames the lawless Curry regions, and basically at this point his disownment is gone again or something like that. They're like, nope, we're going to make him the official daimyo of the Curry region now, and they've actually created their own spot, and it's wonderful, and it's great, and Shutemaru, or Boyashura, comes to Odin and says, I never thought that this would be, we could live in peace like this, that we could be this type of place. You have opened my eyes, you've shown me what was possible, and I can ever thank you and stuff. And Odin just kicks him and says, what kind of sappy crap are you talking about? Like, we don't need, just be happy the way we've got stuff, right? And Odin says, you boys all still love me. We are going to do this. Follow me now, become my samurai, and we're going to do this stuff, right? So this whole chapter is really cool. I just really like everything about Odin's backstory and how quickly it feels fast-paced, but it's like none of it needed more focus than it got. Like the meeting with Raizo, the meeting with Kenjiro, the meeting with Aizo and Kiku and stuff. It's just, these were people that Odin, Kinemon, and Denjiro met along the way. Funnily enough, I could see Kinemon, but actually Denjiro was actually the second person to follow Odin, Kazuki. And we haven't really met this Denjiro person in the present storyline. So that's very interesting. And just how he's collecting everyone and stuff. We only needed that quick text bubble, Raizo was part of the Oniwaban group, something with a Shinobu, or Shinobi or whatever, could have been Shinobu, we don't know. Basically, ran away to the forest because he was rejected, so he joins up. And then we got Kenjiro, who apparently was stealing the hair of dead people, digging up graves to make hairbrushes to sell. Okay, Aizo and his sister, not his sister. We're not going to get into that stuff, whatever, because we all know that Kiku's actually a dude, but, and, that kind of stuff, just all the backstories and stuff, it goes by very quickly, but that's all we needed. We just needed that little bit of connection and stuff like that. Very, very interesting. And then we kind of jump over here to this last part of the chapter, which is, I'm curious about. I'm curious because we are missing one thing. Now, that one thing that is actually missing here is we don't actually see how Odin ended up meeting up with Karamatsu. It does seem here at the end of the chapter that Karamatsu is already wearing a very similar type of garb as the rest of the members, the rest of the retainers, that when Odin said, hey, I'm a daimyo now, I need retainers and stuff. I prefer you guys, all of you, become my samurai. Aizo included in this. So there was originally 10, it seems, or potentially Aizo left. See, I'm of the firm impression that Odin left, Aizo left with him sort of idea, but the other ones seem to stay behind, it seems. Because Aizo was clearly one of the 10 red scabbards, it appears to be, or at the very least, he was definitely one of the retainers. We see him in the shot when Odin requests, be my samurai. So he was one of Odin's samurai, but they call him the 9 red scabbards, and we already have the 9. So who, it's just very interesting to me, because Aizo, of course, left, so he probably relinquished that title, so to speak. But to this day, so Aizo showing up, whether he's already in Wano with some of the Whitebeard crew, you know, people like Vista maybe, or is his division, all the people that Aizo was in charge of, maybe they all went with him to help. Maybe we haven't heard about that yet. Maybe he's locked away. Maybe he's in hiding. We don't know yet. It would be very strange that Aizo hasn't revealed himself yet, but I am curious to where Aizo actually is, because he's definitely going to appear in this arc. I mean, Oda himself brought him up for a reason. So that's really interesting. But yeah, Kawamatsu, because it says 6 years passed, and we get some more about the Rocks Pirates. Like, at this time, 33 years before the present storyline now, because it was 39 years ago, now it's 6 years, it's 33 years, and they're saying, okay, the remnants of the Whitebeard, or not the Whitebeard, the Rocks Pirates, started to go their separate ways, establish their names for themselves, you know, build up their own crews and their own strength, and this is basically where the formation, I believe, of the actual Yonko took place. Because before there was Yonko, there was Rocks, and during Rox's era, there was Roger. And I've never heard Brook, I could be wrong about this, but I've never heard Brook bring up Four Emperors of the past, or Yonko of the past, or anything that would lead us to believe that the title of Yonko didn't actually happen until the disbandment of the Rocks Pirates, and they started to gain their own strength and power on their own merit. Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, and we see a few other characters here silhouetted in the background. Hard to tell who they are supposed to represent. It could be, I believe one is supposed to be Shiki, but another one could be one of the other names we've never even met before. One of the names dropped by Sengoku in that awesome bounty reveal chapter. So there is that thing, but it's pretty much, okay, this is where, okay, the Rocks Pirates incidents happened. Garp and Roger did their thing to break that shit up. And, you know, shout out to Garp. Garp has always been the best. And they basically separated everybody. They were gaining influence. This makes sense around this time, because Odin still has to join. You know, he became the daimyo. 6 years passed. It's great. He's been the daimyo for a number of years now. He's been established. You know, he's reestablished himself. He's in his 20s. I believe at this point he would be 24, I believe. If 6 years have passed, he was 18. So yeah, he's about 24 years old here. Around this time, I'm assuming he left because, you know, we know what happened with Kaido and Roger and all this stuff, and Whitebeard. He must have had a significant amount of time on each crew. So stuff like that, right? But here is where at the end of the chapter we see Kawamatsu, as I said, and a lot of people thought Kawamatsu was actually a mink, but clearly Kawamatsu is a kappa, a true kappa, and I mean, we've already seen, you know, Yukimaru, who, by the way, shout out, the best boy in all of One Piece is, we got a little, just one little panel of a wolf from our favorite little Firefox demon. We got from our little yokai friend. I'm so happy for that Kitsune. I need that back. Don't tell me that he's dead. Don't tell me that the bestest boy is dead in One Piece. I want that guy. I need that fox back in my life. Forget Chopper being the mascot. Bring him on board, you know, the Thousand Sunny, our new mascot. So, either way, that's all fine and dandy. Kawamatsu is here, and he's on the beach, and he's looking. And at this point, as I said, we can assume at this point he is one of Odin's retainers, but because of his garb and everything like that, but he's on the shores and he's poking at what's clearly Nekomamushi and Orochi when they were small children. We already knew this, that when they washed ashore, they were just small children at the time, you know, of 7, 10 years old, something like that. So this leads us into the next chapter, which apparently no break next week, which is great. This will be really interesting to find out how this all came about. I imagine we're going to, maybe Kawamatsu's backstory, or exactly what Kawamatsu is, or anything like that. Maybe that's actually relevant for something that's going to be later on, and that's why we got the reveal of everybody else, even Aizo and everyone. We got the reveal of how everybody else showed up, Orochi, Nekomamushi included in that, and everybody else, how they joined Odin, what happened with Odin. But the one we are missing is Kawamatsu, so it might be because that's going to be more relevant down the line, something about where Kawamatsu came from, why he joined Odin, all this stuff, right? So, this was a really good chapter. As I said, I love having this. A lot of people aren't happy with the Rocks name drop and stuff, but I don't have a problem with it. You have a story that spans, hundreds of hundreds of years pretty much. We have the Void Century, and we have this big history of the world, and when it becomes relevant, it becomes relevant. The only reason rocks would be name dropped at all is because of the whole Big Mom Kaido thing, right? Big Mom and Kaido teaming up means, okay, we need to inform the uninformed what happened. And of course, the world government, this makes total sense. The world government has been burying information, anything that isn't, that the way they want to paint it, history written by the winners ideal, anything like that needs to be under the rug, and the lowly day-to-day people won't know about it. Look at what happened with Robin's Island. This isn't out of nowhere, like some people seem to believe. The Rocks Pirates thing, I am totally fine with. It has been foreshadowed for a while. We knew that Kaido and Big Mom served on the same crew for a long time. We could assume that the captain of that crew was neither of them, and it must have been someone of equal or stronger strength than Big Mom or Kaido. I'm pretty sure, at this point, there is nobody alive that could have done that. We knew Roger fought against them. So who else could it be? If not the Pirate King, who else? Clearly there was somebody else. And then we got, the Rocks reveal with Garp and Reverie and stuff. And we heard about the Rocks Pirates. And now we have the reveal of Rocks D. Zebek, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I'm always loving this history stuff. A lot of people are bored by these Odin chapters. I find them really great. I love getting this lore because it's one of those oxymoron things, ladies and gentlemen, where people might complain about these name drops and these, where is this coming from? This is out of nowhere. Why didn't we know about this sooner? This wasn't properly foreshadowed. And yet those same people tend to complain when we finally get like this, 5-6 pages or 5-6 chapters of past history, past information. We're getting the information that's wanted. People call it boring, but then if we didn't see any of this, I'm sure people would call when we get references to this, now that we know Odin's backstory, right? We're starting to put all the pieces together. People would probably call the same bullshit, the same people that are calling bullshit about the Zebek, about rocks. People would probably say the same thing if we did about Odin, if we didn't get these Odin chapters. So it's one of those, you can't have your cake and eat it too, guys. You can't, just keep focusing on the Straw Hats. Where are they supposed to who are they really supposed to sit down with and get Odin's backstory? Who are they supposed to, who on the Straw Hats crew have they met is supposed to know everything about rocks that has been relevant? It's just one of those things where if Rocks is dead and the Yonko are the ones in power now, they were part of the Rocks crew, but they're the ones, doesn't matter their history right now, they're in charge. It matters to know information about Big Mom, about Kaido, but in their current state, their past, until it's relevant, why would it be relevant? They got to go fight against them. So for me, I'm loving every bit of Wano. Wano has been really good, even in its slower parts, but I mean, Oda's got to jam-pack so much information, so much history, and so many combatants and new characters, and just a bunch of stuff into this story right now. I'm hoping Wano goes on for a long-ass time, because I feel like at proper pacing, given the idea that Wano will be the longest arc in all of One Piece, I'm fine with that. Marco's showing up, Nekomamushi's going to show up, everybody's going to show up. Aizo with Vista and the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates. We're going to have most of the supernovas involved. Hell, people are summarizing that Blackbeard might get involved or something, or the Marines might try to get involved, even though Kaido even said, we don't have time for that right now. And it's like, because you literally decided to get rid of people like Mihawk, which you can't do. Mihawk's just standing on the shoreline being like, okay, if you guys can actually touch foot on my island, that'll be cute. So they're wasting all their resources, splitting up all their might, instead of going after something that Garp even said. I mean, maybe somebody actually listened to Garp. Maybe they listened to Garp and Garp said, it won't matter. If even half of if the rocks actually get back together, we don't have the might anymore. We're screwed. So Garp has acknowledged, regardless of the amount of crew and power behind him, he clearly knows, Garp would be the one to know, that Roger's crew and his strength and allies, and my strength and my crew and my allies of Garp 40 years ago, basically he knows that there are no pirate crews and there are no there's not enough marine power like they had back then to combat that level of strength. Garp would be the one, he's the witness, he's the one who would know it. He goes, you know, and we're much older now, so, I mean, I'm sure he's taken into account even if he could get together. People like Shanks and his crew. People like convince Shanks to be a part of this and work together with Shanks on this one. If he could convince Rayleigh to come out of retirement and help him in this final battle like they used to. Even, I'm sure Garp is taking all that into account and going, even then, it wouldn't matter. So if all them got together right now, apparently they're shit out of luck anyway. So maybe that's why Akainu's kind of like, maybe somebody listened to Garp and said, nothing we can do about Wano right now. We don't have the military might to go and stop this from happening, and right now we have other things to do. We might as well at least try to do something. So either way, guys, I guess this review turned into more about theories and discussions and what's going to happen between Orochi's character, the direction of Wano, right now, people's negativity, their negative feelings about Wano in general, and the Wano chapters that we're currently beginning about Oden. I really like them. I've been enjoying them. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, don't forget to hit that bell notification if you guys want to know every single time I drop a video. Suffice it to say, I don't exactly drop them on a proper schedule every time. Look at this review coming out so late. But yeah, and don't forget to join the new Discord, ladies and gentlemen. I've started my own Discord, a lot of great people in there, and I'm, of course, in there as well from time to time, so don't forget to hit that link down in the description down below if you want to join the Discord, where we talk about manga, anime, etc., One Piece, Valkyrie, Seven Deadly Sins, all the good ones. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, drink responsibly as always. We'll see you back here next time.